So the Atlanta Falcons performed pretty well in week 9. And yes, it has a smile on my face. It has me happy. I'm so glad the Atlanta Falcons had a great performance. It seemed like it's been a long time since we won against the New Orleans Saints. What's it been, like 1, 2, 3 years, something like that? So it was good to get this win during week 9. I'm going to go more into detail, but of course, before I get right into this video, make sure to like and subscribe. Turn on that notification bell. Help me out a little bit. And without further ado, let's get right into the video. Now, I'm going to start off with the Atlanta Falcons offense as a whole. After a very hard Week 8 performance, they actually performed really good. They had 377 total yards, 3 total touchdowns. The offense itself had an amazing game. Now, going into the keys of the offense, you have to talk about Matt Ryan. He had a performance of the ages. The dude went 23 for 30, 343 yards, 2 passing touchdowns, and even led a game-winning drive in which Atlanta drove down the entire field, and a catch made by Cordell Patterson that went for 64 yards led to the game-winning field goal. I'm going to get more into that catch later, along with other Cordell Patterson stats. However, Matt Ryan also had a very uncharacteristic and surprising rushing touchdown. Yeah. Matt Ryan ran the ball. He ran the ball for 8 total yards on 5 rushes and had 1 touchdown. So Matt Ryan, dude was doing a little bit of everything out there. I'm not even going to lie to you. The guy was an entire Swiss Army knife on offense. Now, speaking of the Atlanta Falcons rushing game, this is something that the Falcons need to continue to work on. The rushing game was absolutely terrible against the New Orleans Saints. I mean, they only had a grand total of 34 yards on the ground on 25 attempts. If you don't know, that is 1.4 yards per carry. If Atlanta wants to be able to compete with these better teams we have to face going into the next couple of weeks, they're going to have to at least have a respectable running game. This right here it's not going to cut it. 34 yards on the ground for an entire game is something that Atlanta just can't expect to get them wins. They're going to have to increase the rushing game. They're going to have to increase the, I would say, the flexibility of the offense. When you pass the ball a lot, that gives teams an opportunity to tee off on you. That gives teams an opportunity to drop back and really cover your best receivers. However, when you have that mix, that equilibrium, if you would say, that mix of a great running game and a great passing game, that makes your offense absolutely deadly. And if Atlanta wants to compete with the better teams, they are going to have to incorporate a more dominant running game into their offense. Now, going to the rookie report, there's not one week that goes by in Atlanta without me talking about Kyle Pitts. Now, after a very rough game last week against the #1 Carolina Panthers defense, Kyle Pitts kind of came back. He had 3 receptions, 62 yards on 7 targets. He's getting really good at managing those double teams. As you know, Julio Jones earlier in his career, a former Atlanta Falcon, which I believe a lot of you watching this video may know, he had to adjust to seeing those double teams and opening things up for everybody else. And I believe Kyle Pitts is learning how to do that at a faster rate. I believe Kyle Pitts is definitely going to be a star in the NFL, and I just think he's just learning. He soaks things up like a sponge. He can line up on the inside of the outside. He had a very excellent game for Atlanta. Despite only having 3 receptions, he turned that into 62 yards and nearly had himself a touchdown on a drag route that probably would have been a touchdown if he hadn't gotten tackled down by his shoelaces. But of course, that's Kyle Pitts. I mean, I think he's an incredible player. I think he's going to be a super talented guy going into the future. Now, speaking of super talented people, we have to talk about the Atlanta's Swiss Army knife on offense, Cordell Patterson. The guy has literally no position. Like, if you have Cordell Patterson's name up there and position, his position's going to say football player. The guy can do everything. Now, what he did yesterday against the New Orleans Saints, as of the recording of this video, he dominated, and I mean dominated, the entire receiving game. 6 receptions for 126 yards, and as I said earlier in this video, he caught a 64-yard pass that made room for what would be a 28-yard game-winning field goal, something around that. Cordell Patterson did really good, and that clutch reception is just one of the highlights he's had this entire season. I mean, he's leading the team in what I believe are rushing and passing touchdowns. So Cordell Patterson, he's definitely doing a lot of work. I mean, he's a offensive weapon, if you want to say. He can return kicks if you want him to. He can receive the ball, run the ball. I believe Cordell Patterson might be our best overall outside wide receiver and our best running back and our best returner at the same time. He's just that talented of a football player. Now, speaking of wide receivers, Calvin Ridley is still out. He's still going to be out, and it's unknown when he's going to come back. Now, of course, you know he's dealing with those mental health issues. We wish nothing but prayers and the best for Calvin Ridley, and we hope that pretty soon he can get back onto the football field. However, speaking and going back to the guys on the football field, we have to talk about the Atlanta Falcons offensive line, which I like to say had an average to mid performance. I mean, the offensive line, it's still a little bit of a problem as Matt Ryan was sacked twice and they allowed 4 tackles for loss. However, it was better than usual. I mean, it wasn't as bad. The 2 sacks came late into the game. The offensive line held really, really steady. They never let their guard down. They never let Matt Ryan get absolutely coddled, and which was a huge part of Matt Ryan having quite possibly the biggest game of the season so far. However, the offensive line, they didn't fall apart, and that's what I like to see. Against Carolina, they fell apart. They absolutely got torn up on the inside. Nowadays, and now against the New Orleans Saints, they did a little bit better, which I'm a little bit happy about. Now, of course, it wasn't perfect, but it was still a little better. Now for the Atlanta Falcons defense, the defense played really, really good for the most part, and up to the third quarter, they had only allowed 6 points. Now here's the minus. They allowed 249 passing yards and 2 touchdowns to Trevor Siemian, and even allowed over 100 rushing yards, which of course needs to improve as the ground game has been dominating Atlanta's defense for seemingly the entire year. I mean, their defense, they haven't been the worst, but they haven't been the best. Atlanta's going to have to get a better defense if they want to compete with these higher up teams. However, their defense, as far as the stats go, 1 sack, 2 tackles for loss, and that 1 sack was actually a strip sack that led to a touchdown, and 10 passes defended, which was really, really impressive. Now, the defense did allow 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, which it really scared us. I mean, as Atlanta fans, we're used to our teams pulling a little choke on us some of those times. However, we were able to pull it out, but it was really alarming to see Atlanta's defense give up those last 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. It was really alarming to see that our defense just seemingly could not shut the door and close the game. That's something that definitely needs improvement, as Arthur Smith has said plenty of times about this Atlanta Falcons team. Now, going to our defensive standout, a guy, second-year cornerback exactly, A.J. Tyrell is really bursting onto the scene and one of the better cornerbacks on the team and maybe even in the entire league. He had the game and ended the game with 5 tackles and 3 passes defended. He's developing into one of the better corners in the NFL. He's really looking like he's worth that top 15, number 16 exactly, that top 15-ish pick that we spent on him back last year in last year's draft. Man, A.J. Tyrell, he's looking really good. I'm really happy that A.J. Tyrell is performing well after a subpar rookie season where he was really targeted, rookie cornerback kind of stuff. You're going to have to adjust to the NFL. I believe A.J. Tyrell is doing a really, really good job at adjusting to the NFL in his second season. I think he ultimately is developing into one of the best cornerbacks in the entire league. Now, going into the overall feelings, I'm pretty impressed with the way the Falcons play. Although the fourth quarter was a little bit questionable and a little bit shaky, overall, I feel like it's a step in the right direction. You did just beat your division rivals. You stayed in the division race. You are 4-4, sitting at 500 with more than half the season to go. I think the Atlanta Falcons are in really, really good contention to I won't say win the NFC South, but I think they are in contention to at least give people some issues. I think the Atlanta Falcons are playing a lot better than their record shows, and I think they're playing a lot better than many people think. Now, going on to next week, the Atlanta Falcons have the Dallas Cowboys. This game is going to be huge when considering the NFC race for playoff spots. Atlanta, they're going to have to improve on defense because the Dallas Cowboys, face it, they're one of the best offenses in the entire league. I mean, they've had 2 cold games, but Dak Prescott is still there. Ezekiel Elliott is still there. Michael Gallup, Amari Cooper, and all those Dallas weapons are still there. So you're going to have to step up your defense against this very, very great Dallas offense. Now, the Dallas Cowboys, here's the good thing for the Falcons. They are coming off of a 2-week stretch where they are only averaging 18 points per game, which is very uncharacteristic. Dak Prescott's been banged up a little bit. The whole team is looking like they're losing some steam when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys side of things. So Atlanta could possibly take advantage of that little slump the Cowboys are in and probably steal a win. It's going to take a lot of effort. It's going to take a lot of defense and probably nearly a perfect game for Atlanta to win, but I believe we have a chance. I believe we are playing better than our record predicts. or shows exactly. Now, of course, the Atlanta Falcons are 4-4 in the young season. I believe, and I'm very optimistic about our playoff chances. I think the Atlanta Falcons do play a lot better than their record shows, and ultimately, in my opinion, I think we should be 5-2. I'm just going to say it. I think the Atlanta Falcons should be atop the NFC as of right now. I don't think we are a bad team. However, there's still a lot of work to do on the defensive and offensive side of the ball, especially concerning both lines and both secondaries. However, the Atlanta Falcons as a whole play really, really good on Sunday. But, of course, before I end this video, make sure to like and subscribe, turn that notification bell, help me out a little bit. And, of course, links in the description, TikTok, Spotify, Instagram. Follow all of those if you want to. I would really appreciate it. However, if you don't follow them, I still wish you to have a blessed and happy day. And, of course, stay loved, stay blessed. And without further ado, I'm going to end this video. Thank you for watching.
Funky man that lack finesse. Wanna be rappers brag about already being the best. I respect many people for the job they've done. Haters full of jealousy is what I like especially. I like a lot of funky man that lack finesse.